Hello everyone. Welcome to the classroom of Architectural Drawing and Recognition. Today, we will start by watching a short video.
In the late 17th century, a southern craftsman named Lei Fada came to Beijing to participate in the construction of palaces. Due to his superb skills, he was quickly promoted to take charge of the design work. This hereditary family of architects was known as the Yangshi Lei. The most significant contribution of the Yangshi Lei family lies not only in the realization of their designs, but more importantly in the design process itself, including drawing patterns and making models. The works of the Yangshi Lei family embody immense wisdom both in architectural concepts and actual construction. Over the span of more than 200 years, from the Kangxi to the Xuantong eras of the Qing dynasty, a Lei family spanning 8 generations led or participated in the design of nearly all the royal buildings of the Qing dynasty, including the Yuanminjuan, the Summer Palace, the Temple of Heaven, Zongnanhei, Beihai, the Summer Resort in Chengde, the eastern and western tombs of the Qing dynasty, and so on. Currently, 1/6 of China's World Cultural Heritage Sites bear the mark of the Yangshi Lei family. Among the national treasures housed in the Forbidden City, there is a treasure that many people are not very familiar with, but its significance is immense. 1/5 of China's World Cultural Heritage Sites are associated with this treasure, which is known as the Yangshi Lei Architectural Drawings and Archives. The Yangshi Lei family is the most impressive general contractor in Chinese history. So, how impressive is the Yangshi Lei family exactly? The so-called Yangshi Lei refers to the 7 generations of the Lei family, who served as chief designers of the Yangshi Fang during the more than 200 years of the Qing dynasty, and designed and constructed a series of royal buildings such as temples, gardens, tombs, and palaces.
In the late 17th century, a southern craftsman, Lei Fada, came to Beijing to work on the palace. Because of his skill, he was soon promoted to design 8 generations since him, until the end of the Qing dynasty, the main royal building, like a palace, the imperial mausoleum, the old summer palace, the summer palace. It's all in Lei's charge. This hereditary family of architects, it is called Style Lei. In traditional concepts, including the Forbidden City, the beauty of the shape, and the ingenuity of the structure of ancient Chinese architecture, are purely attributed to the rich experience of craftsmen. And it is not believed that craftsmen also have the ability to organize and express words and images. The large number of Tang samples left by the Lei style family provides rich drawings and Tang samples from design to construction, correcting the traditional view on the theoretic craftsmen of ancient architectures in the Forbidden City. This explains that ancient Chinese architectural craftsmen not only possessed excellent construction skills, but also possessed the ability to design and express drawings and 3-dimensional models. Therefore, the significance of engaging in drawing drafting is great. We must strengthen our study, improve our self-cultivation, make better design drawings, and serve the people. Today, we will start the study of the 3rd subsection in Chapter 9 of Construction Working Drawings. The content of this lecture is the building plan. Let's take a look at what knowledge we need to master in this subsection. First, it is necessary to be familiar with The formation and functions of the building plan. Second, it is necessary to be familiar with the relevant regulations and legends of the building plan. Third, it is necessary to be familiar with the graphic content of the building plan. Fourth, it is necessary to master the reading of the building plan. Fifth, it is necessary to master the drawing of the building plan. Next, we will start to learn the knowledge required for building plans. First, formation and functions of building plans. First, a building plan is an imaginary horizontal section plane that cuts through the entire house at a slightly higher level than the windowsill. By removing the part above the section plane, a horizontal section view of the remaining part is made, which is called a building plan for short. Second, the main purpose of the building plan is to express the plane shape, layout, wall thickness, position and size of doors and windows, and the arrangement of other building components of the building. Third, the building plan serves as an important reference for payoff wall construction, door and window installation, interior decoration, budget preparation, and material preparation. Now, let's learn about the relevant regulations and symbols in building plans. First, the commonly used scales for building plans are 1 to 50, 1 to 100, and 1 to 200. Second, the regulations for line types in building plans. Walls and columns that are cut through are drawn with thick solid lines. The outline lines of visible parts, door and window sills, are drawn with medium thick solid lines. Smaller component symbol lines, dimension lines, etc., are drawn with thin solid lines. Third, regulations on dimension marking in building plans. In building plans, dimension marking includes external dimensions, internal dimensions, elevation, and slope. 1. External dimensions. Generally, 3 parallel dimensions are marked at the bottom and left side of the figure. The first dimension, overall dimension, total length, total width. It represents the overall dimension of the outer contour. That is, the total length and total width from one outer wall side to the other outer wall side. The second dimension, dimensions between locating axes, bay width, depth. That is, the dimensions between locating axes, which are used to indicate the position of load-bearing members, and the bay width and depth of rooms. The third dimension, detailed dimensions such as door and window openings, mark the width and position of door and window openings on the outer wall, the size and position of wall columns, etc. 2. Internal dimensions, the net dimensions of rooms, the indoor door and window openings, holes, wall thickness, and the size and position of equipment. 3. Elevation. Use relative elevation to mark the elevation of the ground and the elevation at places where the height changes. 4. Slope. If there is a slope, its slope should be marked. Fourth, rules for drawing building plans. For multi-story buildings, in principle, a plan should be drawn for each floor, and the name of the plan should be noted below the plan, such as the ground floor plan, the second floor plan, etc. If the number, size, and layout of rooms on all floors above and below are the same, then the same floors can be represented by only one floor plan, which is called the standard floor plan, or certain floor to certain floor plan. If the building is symmetrical, its symmetry can be utilized to draw half of the floor plans of different floors on both sides of the symmetry symbol. Fifth, commonly used legends in architectural plans. As stipulated in the national standard, all kinds of commonly used windows and doors legend, as shown in the figure, including the facade of the doors and windows, and profile examples, diagonal lines on the window facade legend, and the arcs on the plan, indicates the direction of door and window fan switch, generally do not need to be represented on the design drawing. The name of the door is denoted by M. The name code of the window is represented by C. In the elevation drawing, the solid line of the opening direction line represents outward opening, and the dashed line represents inward opening. One side of the intersection angle of the opening direction line is the side where the hinge is installed. The opening direction line may not be shown in the building elevation drawing. Third, the graphic content of the building plan. First, express the plane shape of the building, the names of each room in the house, the plane layout situation, and the orientation of the house. Second, express the internal and external dimensions of the building and the positioning axes. The positioning axes are the basis for positioning various components in the length and width directions. Third, express the codes and numbers of doors and windows, and the opening directions of doors. Fourth, for the parts that need to be expressed in detail drawings, the index symbol should be marked. Fifth, express interior decoration practices and the necessary text description. Sixth, the cutting position of the sectional view should be noted in the ground floor plan. Seventh, express and write the name of the picture and drawing scale. After learning the basic knowledge of building plans, we will start to learn how to read building plans. Fourth, reading building plans. First, understand the name of the drawing and the drawing scale to know which floor the floor plan belongs to. Second, when reading the floor plan, you should read the floor plans layer by layer, from the bottom to the top. First, start from the positioning axis, and according to the marked dimensions, look at the bay width and depth of the rooms. Then look at the thickness of the walls, or the size of the columns, and make sure to understand whether the positioning axes are in the center of the wall, or in an eccentric position. Also, look at the position and size of doors and windows. Special attention should be paid to the changes in each floor plan. Third, in the floor plan, on the section surface of the brick wall, according to the regulations, the brick wall material legend should be drawn. If the drawing scale is less than or equal to 1:50, the brick wall material legend will not be drawn. Fourth, the cutting position in the floor plan and the detail index mark are also issues that cannot be ignored, as they are related to the orientation and the detailed content to be expressed. Fifth, the orientation of the building can be known through the compass in the ground floor plan. Next, we will use the floor plan of the number 1 dormitory building of Jiangxi Construction Vocational and Technical College as an example to explain the content of the floor plan and its reading method. First, From the title of the drawing, we can understand that this is a ground floor plan with a scale of 1 to 100. Second, there is a compass symbol in the drawing, indicating that the house faces south, north at the top, south at the bottom. Third, from the shape of the floor plan and the overall length and width dimensions, the land area of the house can be calculated. Fourth, from the position of the walls in the drawing and their division, and the names of the rooms, the configuration of the rooms inside the house, their uses, quantity, and their interconnections can be understood. From the number of spacing of positioning axes in the drawing, the position of each bearing member, and the size of rooms can be understood. And the size of the room. The transverse axis of this example. On a scale of 1 to 9. Vertical axes are A to M. Sixth, external and internal dimensions are marked in the drawing, from which the bay width, depth, size and position of exterior walls, doors, windows, and indoor facilities in each room can be known. External dimensions are generally noted with 3 sets of dimensions outside the floor plan. The first set of dimensions represents the overall dimensions of the outer contour. That is, the total length and width from the outer wall edge at one end to the outer wall edge at the other end. In this example, the total length is 27.44 meters, and the total width is 15.44 meters. The second set of dimensions represents the distance between the positioning axes, which is used to indicate the dimensions of the room's bay width and depth. In this example, the bay width of the dormitory is 3.4 meters, and the depth of the room is 6.5 meters. The third dimension represents the location and size of each detail, such as the width and location of doors and windows openings, the size and location of the wall pillars. When dimensioning, this one should be linked to the positioning axis, such as room window C2021. The width is 1.96 meters. The distance from the window edge to the axis is 0.12 meter. There should be an appropriate distance between the 3-dimensional lines, generally 10 millimeters. The third dimension line should be 15 millimeters away from the outermost outline of the figure. To write the numbers, in case of the front, back, and left-right asymmetry of the house. Then on the plane plan, 3 dimensions should be written on all sides. In addition, the dimensions of details such as steps or ramps, flower beds and apron can be marked separately. The internal dimensions indicate the net space, size of the room, as well as the size and position of indoor door and window openings, holes, wall thickness and fixed equipment, such as toilets, washrooms, etc., and the height of the indoor floor. The floor elevation represents the relative height of floor elevation 0 point, noted as plus minus 0.000 of each room. In this example, the ground floor is designated as the elevation 0 point, which is equivalent to the absolute elevation of the indoor ground level 19.65 in the general layout plan. The outdoor ground elevation is minus 0.3, indicating that the outdoor is 300 millimeters lower than the indoor, preventing rainwater from backing up. The dimensions of other floor plans, in addition to marking the dimensions between axes and the total dimensions, can omit the same dimensions as the ground floor. Seventh, a number 1 double flight staircase is arranged at the upper left in this drawing. 8th, mark the index symbols of wall details. Write text descriptions, etc. 9th, in the ground floor plan, the cutting symbols of the sectional view should also be drawn. 5th, drawing of architectural plans. First, draw the locating axes according to the dimensions of the locating axes. Second, according to the thickness dimensions of the walls and the detailed dimensions of the doors and windows. Draw the cross sections of the cut-through walls and the outline of the columns. Third, draw the door and window symbols in the floor plan, as well as other building component symbols and various indoor facility symbols, etc. Fourth, after inspection without error, thicken the drawing lines according to the specified line types and widths. Mark the positioning axes and dimension markings. Mark the detail index symbols, the compass, and the text descriptions. That's all for this section. Thank you for watching.